Ben Vitale is excused. Mark Farrell.
Present.
Paul Pinckney is excused. Joe Runkle.
Here.
Keith Batman.
Here.
Hans Petcher.
Here.
Terrence Baxter.
Here.
Joseph Bennett.
Here.
Frank Reginelli. Patrick Mahonik.
Here.
Timothy Lattimore.
Here.
Michael Didio.
Here.
Ryan Foley.
Here.
Michael Chapman.
Here. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? And I'm going to ask Bill Gleason, would you mind coming up here for a minute, Bill? Bill's a retired Marine, and he's here with us tonight to talk about the disabled vet van that will be coming in. If you'd be good enough to lead us in the pledge, Bill.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silent prayer. Thank you. And I think we can move right into presentations, and therefore, Bill, I will ask you to come on over to the podium here and give us some good news.
I don't think I need that. Being in the Marine Corps, I can, hopefully everybody can hear. My name is Bill Gleason. I'm from Syracuse, New York. I've been with the DAV, Disabled American Veterans, for 8 years, 3 of it driving. I ended up driving today, in fact. That's why I don't have a suit and tie, I guess, or what other. But 4 years I've been recruiting. Last year I came to Auburn and met Larry Wilt, the vet rep, and we actually talked about getting a van here. But during the winter, we had some accidents with our vans and we didn't have a van to get. So this year, we're starting all over again. We've got 14 drivers, volunteer drivers to drive. We're gonna give you a van with government license plates, and we're gonna keep that maintenance free. So it's a win-win for Cayuga County. It's a win-win for Cayuga County. That van will only take veterans to and from the VA clinic at the Auburn Hospital. So that's a good point. What we would like is 15 to 20 drivers, so we're not quite there. The 15 will get you a van. We run Monday through Friday. My job, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 3:30. You can give me a call. I'm going to hand out some literature today, and all the legislators have got a packet similar to this one here. And that's got all the mail-outs that I've mailed to all the 38 veterans organizations here in Cayuga County. And I've met a lot of nice people coming in, starting with Bill Jacobs. He took me around and I met everybody. The mayor came to the VA hospital and sat down and talked to me for probably a half hour, Mr. Quill. And we just met a whole lot of people. I've been on your radio station a couple times. I've been with a Citizen, the newspaper article. I have got just today, Charlie Hannigan. She's the reporter for the Post-Standard that's delivered out here. So you'll be seeing that story in the next couple of days probably. So what we do, and it's kind of confusing because it says Disabled American Veterans. And it really isn't, if you're a veteran, whether you're disabled or not, you'll be able to use this vehicle. They will come to your house, they will pick you up, bring you to the hospital, the VA clinic. Laura Delaney, I talked to her a couple weeks back, and she's very excited about that. You've got a total of 6,700 veterans in the Cayuga County area. So we plan on servicing as many as we can on that. Once again, it's a free van, and we'll take care of that van. The government, you and I paying our taxes, will take care of that maintenance-wise, gas-wise, and everything. Let me give you a little stat here, and some of you people that are legislators, they can look at this, and this is what I like to show everybody. This is our area in red. It goes from Binghamton all the way up to Messina. I can tell you that we picked up over 25,000 veterans and brought them to their clinics and the VA hospital in Syracuse. I can tell you that we went 711,000 miles in those 31 vehicles and 300 veterans or civilians. You don't have to be a veteran to do this. Drivers. So that's a lot of road work. That's a lot of numbers and veterans that we helped. It's a free service. You pick up the people at their home. You bring them home. You bring them to the hospital. They do their thing at their appointment. Come back. And we take them home, all free. It's a big thing. So I'm going to leave some information right at the corner of that if I can. And the people over here, the audience, if you want to come and get some posters. When I hit the town here in February, I said to myself, I need to get a team going. And that's exactly what we did. You can't have a better mayor, as far as I'm concerned. He gave me names to start with and everything. The radio station did an interview, a phone interview on the phone, and we talked to people in Cayuga County. Come help us. You got to be 21. You got to have no DWIs or DUIs, no felonies, and we will bring you in for a physical orientation into Syracuse, approximately 3 hours. And that's just what it says. It's a physical, which is yes, no, I don't know type of questions, not like what I'm used to in the Marine Corps, but that's beside itself. And then orientation, and then your fingerprints. You go home, and about 3 weeks later, they'll call you. If they can't get a hold of you by phone, they will give you a letter that day saying, come on in and get your badge. And you're a member of the VA hospital then. You don't get paid, you get a $4.75 meal at lunchtime. That's about basically it. So that's a good thing. We got a lot of good people there. They don't have to be a veteran again. So I definitely need your help out there. All these people here, I should get 3 or 4 drivers out of them, I would think, and then that'll push us over. Do I have any questions at all?
When do you expect to start, Bill?
Pardon?
When do you expect the service to start?
Our 4 brand-new vehicles come in the middle of May. What we do is the 300 people, they hit the concrete, boots on the ground, and they go around with this thing here. On the front, you'll see it that's advertisement for fundraising, and then that tells you who we are. And I can tell you we raised, and this is not professional fundraisers. This is guys like me and Ron over there that help me drive out here. These are knocking on the doors and saying, you know, we're nonprofit, we need some money. Not like that, but, and they give us money. We raised over $50,000 last fiscal year. And so that means that we can get 14.5 is what we need for our share. Cincinnati, Ohio, that is the national headquarters for the DAV, they come up with some funding, and because Ford has so many, and I'm hearing the number of 320 vans that we're buying throughout the country. So that's a good thing. We get our vans, we come out here, give you a van, get you going. Does that answer your question?
Yes, sir.
Any other questions? Okay, I'm going to leave this. Thank you very much, and thank you for Michael Chapman for asking me to come out. It does help. Every little thing, if you're a recruiter, every little tool that you can use to get bodies to drive your vans is a good step forward. I want to thank Larry Wilt. He brought me in and got me going last year, and it was kind of a slap in his face that we didn't have a vehicle to give him last year, but we do this year, and it's a done deal. A year behind a little. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Bill. We look forward to that service arriving in mid-May. And now, Mr. Berlucci from the hospital, and his entourage is here to protect him from us. So, yeah.
Entourage. We've been called. Yeah.
Hey, trying to help
Thank you very
out.
much. This is Tom Filiak, our Vice President for Administration. Alan works with the hospital in our doctor group. Patrick Factow is our Chief Financial Officer. If we don't have enough for everybody, but if you have a business card and want any of the stuff we're handing out, just give it to Tom and we'll make sure we get a copy to you. Well, thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to go pretty quickly on this material, and really, I'm here today to inform you what the hospital's strategic plan looks like, to inform you of conversations that we're having with our senators, DeFrancisco and Nozzolio and Seward, and to maybe paint a picture for you relative to Auburn Community Hospital. I have a little bit of an agenda on your left-hand side. So let me just go through that relatively briefly. You're all local, so remember, sometimes the audience is at the state level, and I have more explaining to do. But at this point, you all know what our background is. A small rural hospital emerging from bankruptcy. We have some very good quality scores now. We're a vital access provider. We're a critical access provider. These are key words in the federal government because it means we're the only hospital in Cayuga County. We get special recognition on reimbursement from the feds and the state because of our status. What you might not know is we're close to 783 full-time employees. We have 2 unions. Our annual budget hovers around $100 million. And here, this next statistic, not a lot of people know, is annually the hospital, our affiliates, we've estimated that we put about $170 million into the local economy on an annual basis, and that information came from the Hospital Association of New York. They did it for all of the hospitals. And so it begins to speak about, while you all know us to be a healthcare provider, we're also a very large economic engine for Cayuga County. And if you ever wondered how big or small that number was, we've estimated it to be around $170 million annually. We've been profitable from operations 5 out of the last 7 years. A few years we lost some money. It wasn't big money, but we average about a 1% return. Our balance sheet looks a lot better today than it did. We're a 99-bed hospital, 80 beds, a nursing home. We see a lot of urgent and emergent care, a lot of ancillaries. Quality of care, we're hitting all the benchmarks as it relates to quality. And let's talk about strategic planning. A year ago, about this time, myself and some of our board members had a private audience with Senators DeFrancisco, Nozzolio, and Seward. The purpose was to raise capital for the hospital. If we're only making 1% off $100 million, that's $1 million, and our CFO, Mr. Factow, will tell you it cost us at least $1 million or $2 million just to replenish beds, IV pumps, et cetera. So there's never any money for access to capital. They told me to put together a strategic plan and come back next year in the budget cycle. So that's where I am in the process. So what we did is we put together a strategic plan. We took about a year to do it. It's been completed. It's been approved by the Board of Directors. And what I'd like to do is sort of draw your attention to something that looks like this. It's easier just, you want to put, can you find that one? Okay. Yeah, okay. So if you do locate something that looks like that, and a better version is maybe something that looks like that. Either one of these two graphs would be fine. Oh, it's sideways. Oh, there you go. We came up with something called a rural integrated delivery system. And the best way I can explain it is in this box here, this is called acute care, and that's what we all talk about, the hospital, the hospital, the hospital. But what you might not know is in the last 7 years, we've been focusing on a lot more than the hospital. This quadrant up here is called ambulatory care. That's a lot of the physician recruitment that we've done, surgery that we're doing, etc. This quadrant over here is called post-acute care. That's long-term care. That's just not the nursing home. We're doing rehab, we're doing a step-down unit, and we may be getting into home nursing. But that's that piece. This piece up here is something called community health. What we do know, and you all know, is as time progresses, there's less and less hospitalization. A lot of things are done on an outpatient basis. Not showing my age, but when I was born, I think my mom and I were in the hospital for about 2.5 weeks. Today, you're in and out of maternity in 3 days. Gallbladder surgery that you'd be in for a week and a half healing. Now everything is laparoscopic and you're in and out almost in a day to a day and a half. So the concept is, with a rural integrated delivery system, 7 and 8 years ago, 95% of our budget was in acute care. Today, 60% of that budget is in acute care. Probably 25 or 30% is in ambulatory, maybe another 10 plus over in long-term care. And now we're beginning to understand community health, community medicine, and what that might mean in the future. If I fast forward this strategic plan, in 5 to 10 years, which I think the plan takes us through 2018, this footprint will change once again. I think in acute care, 40%. I think maybe 40% will be up in ambulatory, 20% in long-term care, 10% in growing will be in something called community, okay? So, that's a very, very broad concept. But the takeaway from our strategic plan, we had professional strategic planners helping us to develop it. The medical staff was involved. We got the community involved. So we didn't develop this in a vacuum. If we're able to, when we're able to accomplish this, we think this will be the future of how we can care for all of the citizens in Cayuga County, particularly in Auburn and in the surrounding area. So now the hard question is what is that going to cost? Because that's where we left it. Now, again, I'm skipping, but once again, these are the pertinent parts. I gave you a little bit of the background of the hospital, some things you know, maybe some things you didn't know. I talked about a year ago, hospital representation going to Albany and trying to figure out what the future could hold. Albany telling Auburn Community Hospital, come back when you have a plan. It took us a year. We took our time. We have one heck of a plan. It's different thinking. You know, it's not just institutional, everything being the hospital. It's a concept called a rural integrated delivery system. It means where all of the component parts are working as one. And the way I like to describe it is we put the patient in the middle, and whatever is in the best interest of the patient, we want to have the capacity to move that patient throughout our integrated delivery system. I'm also pleased to report that we're well on our way to accomplishing this already without a lot of state funding. We have been able to grow these different aspects. Now, I want to clarify right up front for our new board member, Mr. Runkle. I'm not here asking for $110 million from the county. That's the good news. Right? right, Joe? How'd I do?
Sure, Scott.
I cleared that up, right?
Keep rolling.
I was asked to put a budget together. So if you want to fast forward, this is management's best guess over the next 5 years, what it's going to take to develop a comprehensive rural integrated delivery system. And since I sort of had an open opportunity with our state senators, this is what I believe it is going to take. And I think it's going to take $110 million over the next 5 years. And I broke it down.
Which one is
This
it?
one.
Last page?
This one. The DS. Okay.
Bingo.
Okay.
I don't know if that was it though.
Well, that's okay. It looks like that.
Same one, okay.
Yeah, something close. And sorry, it's not a little bit bigger, but I broke it down into 2 categories. This stuff over here is what I call operational development, recruiting doctors, grant writers, you know, things like that. This category over here for 95 million essentially is building a brand-new hospital, for lack of a better word, and I can get into that. 15 million is what it's going to take to start growing the book of business and covering our needs. So let's start with this side first. Parts of the hospital are over 100 years old. And actually, succinctly, the emergency room maybe is 17 years old and the nursing home is 20 years old. After that, you know, you're into 30 years old, 50 years old, 70 years old. We've done a very good job maintaining a very old facility. But I can't see that sustaining, and I don't want to date myself, but we're preparing for decades. When we do what I'm proposing that we need to do, it's not just for our generation, it's really for the generations to come. So master facility plan, 55 million, really, in my mind's eye, it is a 55-bed acute care facility, all brand new, augmenting the parts like maternity that we did a few years ago, right? Ambulatory services, women's imaging, you know, pain clinics, radiology services. When you go to the cities nowadays, you know, parking's tough at hospitals. You got these really nice outpatient centers, because if all you need is outpatient, you want to get in, you want to get out, you want to be convenient. Medical office building. Whether you know it or not, the hospital now employs close to 50 doctors and probably 30 mid-levels. You probably won't see the name Auburn Community Hospital, but as your chief executive officer, as the system administrator, I must spend 50% of my time managing all these doctor practices, and maybe 50% of my time running the hospital. The time that I allocate running all these doctor practices has increased from 10% maybe 7 years ago to 50% today. So we own and operate an awful lot of doctor offices, and they're located throughout Auburn, and they don't necessarily have our name. It certainly would make sense to have one-stop shopping for primary care, specialty care. The best example I could give you is Health Central, which is, you know, privately owned. Just imagine a brand-new medical office building with parking, et cetera, et cetera. And I know those of you that have been to cities, that's typically the way it looks. Parking garage, and the long-term care facility. On the operational side, we've estimated that we need 18 additional primary care doctors. That number staggers people, especially the primary care doctors in town. Berlucci, what are you doing? Over the next 10 years, our physicians are going to retire. If you look at the average age of the primary care physicians, you know, it's going to take a lot. And for those of you that may know a senior primary care physician, they work very hard, and it often takes me 2 younger physicians, 3 younger physicians to replace one of the, I'm not going to say old timers, but one of the guys that we're used to. It's just the way, it's the work ethic. So the number is 18. And each primary care physician costs about 200 grand by the time all's said and done. Primary care specialty, now not that he's in the audience, but I knew Ray Bazzari would be here. And Ray, I've allocated on outpatient, adult and adolescent psych services 1.2 million, which I'd be the first one to say is woefully inadequate. What we're seeing in the emergency room, what we're seeing in mental health, it just would blow your mind, the need for that particular service. But that's a start. Transportation. Now that we have all these doctor offices, a lot of no-shows. And when we call because the 6-year-old didn't show up with the chronic ear infection, it's because mom doesn't have a way to get from one place to the other. And then you say, take a cab, et cetera, et cetera. Well, if we can't get the patients to and from our doctor offices, that's a whole other issue. That's transportation. Now, under community health services, and I'll end with this, it's something home health, hospice, nurse navigators. The hospital doesn't necessarily have to own all of these enterprises. There's a lot of good ones in town, but the cost of networking, growing, developing would cover that. In sum, there's a lot happening at the hospital, but I'm very, very pleased to let you know that our doctors, our board of directors, our elected officials, management, we've come a long way in a short amount of time. We're on a roll. We think the sky's the limit. We think our community deserves nothing but the very best. We're having tremendous success recruiting some of the best and brightest minds that the business has to offer when it comes to physicians and nurses. And now we're prepared to take the next step. I've covered why I'm here today. I covered the agenda. I gave you a little background about the hospital, about how we've grown from being a hospital to a rural integrated delivery system. The pitch that I'm making in Washington, D.C., as well as at Albany. And I'll end on this note. You know, when I first put together what I truly believe is this budget, I thought to myself, they're either going to laugh me out of the room or not bat an eyelash. And I am very pleased to report to all of you, none of our elected officials, including yourself, including the senators, including the assemblymen, nobody batted an eyelash. They all understand what needs to happen in Auburn. They all understand what has to happen in Cayuga County. And I know other small rural hospitals have achieved this kind of funding, whether it's Oswego or Geneva. These kinds of figures aren't out of the ordinary. It's our time, we're due, we got a great track record, we're a great hospital, we're a great health system. And let me stop at that point, see if you have any questions or comments, but we're very, very determined to get there on behalf of all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Madam Clerk.
Congratulations to Richard Faulkner, a World War II veteran who received his Purple Heart 70 years later. He graduated from Skaneateles High School in June 1942, and 2 days after his 18th birthday, he joined the Army Air Corps. He at first turned down the Purple Heart he earned when his B-17 bomber crashed over occupied France in World War II.
Thank you, and I want to thank the sheriff for being at that ceremony. I know it was certainly very moving. It's wonderful that some of our senior citizens are getting this type of recognition. Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Employee First Awards, staff at the Mental Health Center, Marla Conley, Pam Landon, and Courtney Haberlock from the Payroll Department, Eva Champion, Health and Human Services, Accounting, Joseph Ryan, Sheriff's Department, Bill Hulick, Records Retention, Sue Dwyer, County Clerk, IT Department staff, and Courtney Haberlock, Payroll Department.
Thank you. And congratulations to all the Employee First awardees. It certainly demonstrates the great teamwork that we have here in the county within our departments. And obviously, as the numbers grow, the teamwork grows. So thank you very much. Going to move on to public to be heard. And first, I'm going to call upon Kay or Robin, who would like to speak about the County Youth Fair. Come on right up, ladies.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. My name is Kay Cayuga. I am a board member of the Cayuga County Agricultural Society, which hosts the Cayuga County Fair. We've been doing that for many years. There's been a county fair in Cayuga County for going back to the early 1800s, and originally it was a small farm homestead type of a county fair where people bought their prize bull or pig or whatever. And it moved from farm to farm, and then it became, after many, many years of this type of a venue, it became the Big Six Picnic and was held at Emerson Park. At that point, it became a youth fair. And I grew up in Cayuga County and very much a part of the Big Six Picnic and showed my chickens and turkeys and horses and every craft and homemaking item you could think of. I was very much involved in it and have fond memories of the 4-H and fair activities. I became part of the Cayuga County Agricultural Society in 2008. A little back history again on that. It became the Cayuga County Fair in about early 1980s. Glenn Donnelly, owning the Weedsport Fair Raceway, asked the Cayuga County Legislature if he could have a Cayuga County Fair. And he was given approval for that. So he worked with the Cooperative Extension 4-H department to include them in this county fair. And it became a fair for everyone. There was open activities, there was the 4-H activities that continued, that had been from early on, originally Big Six Picnic. And he had a very successful, many, many years of having the Cayuga County Fair in Weedsport. The Cayuga County Agricultural Society was formed at about the same time as he asked for the Cayuga County Fair. So the Cayuga County Agricultural Society has been running the fair for about 25, 30 years. And in that time, we've actually become, even though we're a small fair, we're a very a popular fair. I show at other counties at meat goats. I have meat goats. And I show at other counties' fairs. I also judge meat goat shows. The meat goat division at the Cayuga County Fair is the biggest in the state. In fact, it's bigger than the New York State Fair Open Meat Goat Show, and I know that because I'm superintendent for both. We have 3 divisions of goats. We bring in over 200 goats just for the Cayuga County Fair. 3 years ago, we added the myotonic fainting goats, and they caused quite a buzz because everybody wanted to come over and see these goats if they really did faint. And they were quite popular. They'd come to the gate and say, "Where are the fainting goats? Where are the fainting goats?" So that was a nice thing, and they're back for their 4th year this year. Very excited about joining us and continuing with us. The sheep bring in about 150 sheep for the fair, and we have been honored by the New York State Sheep Producers Association to have their New York State Youth Show at the fair. They've been doing that for a number of years and are very happy with continuing with us. So the intent of the Cayuga County Fair is to be a fair to attract a variety of people. We have people that don't have animals, but they love to come and pet a goat or a sheep or whatever. We have people that just come for the day to maybe go on the rides, whatever. But we have, anyone who walks the fair can see the focus we have on the youth. That is our biggest intent in every year as we do the fair. What can we do for the youth? And I know in my goat division, we have all kinds of classes for children. Of course, the sheep have their own separate youth show. The dairy cattle, I believe all of those are youth exhibitors, right? Yeah. And so we have a wide variety of activities for the youth. We expanded the basketball tournament this year and had a pretty good, 20 I think, who participated in that. So we, back in 2011, I think through misinformation, the Cayuga County Fair lost its funding from the county. A lot of calls going back and forth, a lot of whatever, and in 2012, we made a rather detailed presentation and a spreadsheet with all kinds of facts and figures of all of our events, our participation, how we spent it, whatever. We presented that at the November 2012 meeting of the Planning Committee, and cleared up, I think, a lot of misinformation that was out there. And it was determined that, yes, we were a viable organization and that maybe we should be funded again. And there was a resolution put forth for $7,500. And it was in contingency. We were asked to come up with similar to a grant application. So 15 pages later of all kinds of information on the Ag Society, the Cayuga County Fair. It was sent to all the legislators. Anybody that read it actually knows more about the Cayuga County Fair than probably most of our board members, because it was so very complete with resumes on our president, our treasurer, our goals, our result activities, whatever. So this was pretty extensive, and we got the funding in March. We were awarded the $7,500. And then we again in November of 2013 did the same thing, updated our listings of everything that we did, and actually highlighted how we spent that $7,500. And I think we did prove that we spent it very, very well. We were able to bring in some additional children's acts. We brought in a band that was all made up of high school musicians that was really, really great. And we had a magician, we had a clown, we had a number of things going on activity-wise that really highlighted the children and what they like. We thought everything was fine, but now we're hearing that that is being reduced, and we're hoping that we can change someone's mind on that. The Cayuga County Fair is your fair. We have people coming from all over New York State to come to our livestock competitions. I have exhibitors from over Buffalo Way. I have them up in Oswego. I have them down around White's Plains, and they really enjoy our little fair. It's not a huge fair. When you go to some of these other counties that have impressive big budgets to whatever, we don't have a big budget, but we're very proud of the fact that we have a very good small fair, and our livestock divisions are great. So people come here and from all over the state to our competitions. They see what we do. I go to other fairs showing my goats and also judging, and I see what other fairs do, and I think we compare pretty favorably with other small fairs. We really, we have a very secure venue there, and we do our best to be sure that the people that come there have a good time. It's just not all about winning, it's not all about competing. And you'll see youths helping each other get into the show ring. There's a goat that's, maybe got a little dirt on it, somebody will reach over and, here, take my rag or whatever, clean it off. So these kids are learning a valuable experience in showing at the Cayuga County Fair. Because the nice thing about this is it's open to any youth. Cayuga County that wants to show their goat, wants to show their sheep, wants to show their cow, wants to enter crafts, wants to do something along that line. There's a baby show, there's a talent show, the basketball tournament. We just have a huge variety for a small fair. We have a lot of things going on that people can do when they come to the show. So what we'd like to say to you is that, we feel that we spent your money wisely. With that funding, it allows us to bring in more things for the youth. Cutting back is going to obviously affect that. We still will have our livestock shows. We still will have all of those venues. But the money that you provide helps us to do more for the youth in other areas. So I'm hoping that you can reconsider the decision or the possible decision of reducing our funds. Anybody have any questions?
Mr. Lattimore.
I'm all in favor of this, Mr. Chairman. I think the two organizations, do touch the youth, and as a presentation by our hospital administrator, the farming industry just put up an $80 million milk plant. They're very powerful economically, and hopefully we can grow our way out of this bad economy. So the hospital's going to be looking for successful people in operations, and hopefully you're helping, just like college, get people interested in that industry.
Yes, our focus is on highlighting agriculture. We have an ag awareness tent that the children that come to the fair, they know now to go directly to the tent, pick up their passport, and it's a ticket with all the various venues, about 8 of them on the ticket, and they have to go around each venue. They go to the cattle building, the horse building, the goats, the sheriff ID location. They have to go and get their passport stamped. Then they go back to the ag awareness tent, and they do get a free ice cream or a yogurt or whatever they have their choice. So and they really look forward to that. It's something we've been doing for a number of years, and Bev Mead, our ag awareness one that handles that tent, just has some fantastically fun things for the children to do that have an agricultural flair. So they learn that a kid belongs to a goat, and a lamb belongs to a sheep, and a calf belongs to a cow, or that maybe this milk comes from this cow, or this whatever. Just learning just basic little things that they take back with them, learning something, just some little thing about agriculture.
Any other questions? Thank you very much, Kay. Robin, were you going to speak? Okay, well, thank you. If one other person is requested for public to be heard, Stephanie Soames would like to speak about the 4-H.
Good evening. Most of you know I'm Stephanie, and I have appeared before. I'm telling you tonight, I'm done. I'm done playing pen pals with Mr. Ververs, and I'm done playing cat and mouse games with the CCE board and the legislators. As many of you know, I have been challenged by the 4-H staff and Mr. Ververs for a number of years. In August and September of last year, I was talking with a lawyer, and my lawyer felt I had everything I needed to present my case before the CCE board and to have everything taken care of. Perhaps I should have stayed with the lawyer and taken it to court. If I had, it would be settled by now. This challenge has not been just for me. I've been doing this for my daughter, my son, and many other 4-H members who have been and are currently being mistreated by Mr. Ververs, Dorothy, and Melissa. By putting things back in Mr. Ververs' hands, you are allowing him to stretch things out until it will be impossible for my son and daughter to participate in anything of the 4-H this year. They have already missed Produced in New York, public presentations, and Dairy Bowl. This is the first year for my son to be able to show an animal, and he truly wants to do this. A few more days and it'll be too late to enter. I'm sure that's what Mr. Ververs is waiting for. My son is scheduled for major surgery in April. My concerns are with him. So as I said, I'm done. I'm done playing the games. I know this is not new. The legislators have heard this before, and they've had many things to do. Many of those things are important. However, this situation is important for me. Many youths in this county are involved. They are important too. On Friday, March 28th, 2014, I will be calling the Citizens newspaper. I will tell the full story starting in 2009, how there was a meeting at my house in May of 2010 with 4-H leaders and legislators, how I played pen pal trying to get an appearance at the CCE board, and how 2 board members suddenly resigned days after I finally got an appearance. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Stephanie, we gave a copy of it for the records.
You want that?
Well, we put it with the record. Thank you.
We'll make a copy.
Okay.
Would you like us to mail you back this?
We'll
Thank
just
you.
make a copy. Any other legislator have any members of the public or public to be heard? If not, Madam Clerk.
Minutes for approval, February 25th, 2014.
Mr.
Yes,
Didio.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move to waive the reading of the minute.
Very good. Any discussion on the minutes? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Very good, thank you.
Anybody second it?
Mr. Bennett.
Thank you.
Anything else before we move on? That's it?
CC report. Dr.
Dr. DeCinque is not with us this evening, and I would ask Mr. Runkle, do you have any comments on the report or any news?
The only
for us?
other comments I might have in addition to his report, the college has been in financial troubles, that's nothing new. But so far, during this budget year they're in right now, they're doing well. Enrollment's up a little bit. Their major funding comes from either tuition, state contributions that come in, or we are a sponsor, or there's chargebacks from other counties. And on the tuition side, their income from tuition, day and evening, is maybe 8-10% over budget. So that side's doing well. Their expenses are up a little bit, but not offsetting enough on the operating income. So there's been good marketing efforts going on in the last several months. Dr. DeCinque is making it a goal to get out and see every district superintendent in Cayuga and Oswego counties to try and increase enrollment for the next years. They're working on next year's budget. Staff relations appear to be, from what I've seen, very, very good. I mean, faculty is pleased with Dr. DeCinque, and as you can see in his report, the trustees are asking or working with him to extend his contract another year. So he's here for 2 years on an interim basis, not to be the full-time employees. That's it.
Very good. I will say that we did have a very good meeting with the Oswego members of the legislature, and their county attorney was present that day. And of course, they're very interested in the success of the Fulton campus, and we'll be having some follow-up meetings here probably in the next month or so. So, excellent. Mr. Batman.
I'm curious, I don't know if you know or not sure, there was an article in the paper that I think from a board meeting that indicated that the fall 2000 and, what year were we in, 14? So the 2014 applications were down. And the explanation was simply, the economy. But I'm wondering what potential impact that's going to have on next year's budget, given the fact that the enrollment was down this year, even though it's on schedule.
Over the last 3 years, enrollment has gone down roughly 200 students each year. Like it started at maybe 3,300, now it's 31. They're budgeting this year for 29. They're in the midst of the budgeting process right now, and so they're gonna tie the budget to a fair number, which they may not know until August what that number is for enrollment. So it is down. Applications are down. That's true. Very true.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Committee reports or individual legislators. Mr. Didio.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Announcement on the Inter-County Association of Western New York. Cayuga County is a strong member of this association, and we're happy to announce that we are having Cayuga County sponsor a meeting in August. I'll give you further information as we proceed towards August. It'll be the third Friday of the month of August. The Alcohol and Substance Abuse Committee is moving forward with their heroin addiction information. There'll be more to come due to weather and such. We have been not getting a full lot of information, but it's still there. And to announce, here's my favorite announcement. Today, we had a inspection committee, Wasco Lake Inspection Committee, and a request was made to Mr. Gary Duckett to investigate the large number of migratory waterfowl at the north end of Wasco Lake, and he did investigate it. And the DEC informed him if he wanted to make some noise to get rid of the birds, he's welcome to it. And he attempted that. Didn't go over too well. They are there for the duration of the migration, and that's the best we can do at this point. But I'd like to inform everyone that Drew Snell is the new watershed specialist, not inspector, specialist. He is come on board, and he'll be here soon to give you an update on what his responsibilities will be, because they're slightly different and with an enhanced agenda. And let's see, for right now, we'll hold off on the rest of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Whitman?
North end of the county has something to report other than snowfall. Received word from Mr. Schumer's office that we will be receiving over $530,000 to go towards dredging the channel to Little Sodas Bay. And that should be complete by the end of May, so that will be great timing and good news.
Fantastic.
The end of this May?
Believe it or not, 2014. I did ask the year, they said 2014, so I'm holding them to it.
All right, thank you.
Good job.
Anyone else? Mr. Batman?
I just want to report that we had a meeting this week that included Ms. Sinclair and Mr. Westfall and the chairman, Mr. Runkle, and some other people to hopefully take our next step with the broadband project in the southern part of the county. We'll be coming forward to this group with the final, hopefully, the final resolution and an agreement for use of the county 911 towers for that project in the hopefully near future.
Very good. Anyone else?
Yeah.
Mr. Foley?
This past week, I was able to attend a pancake breakfast put on by our county administrator, Suzanne Sinclair, as well as Jim Orman, our county treasurer. It was well attended. They raised a ton of food, and they donated it to a good cause. And I just wanted to thank them for putting that on. It was right here in the county office building. And I thought it was excellent to see that from our employees.
Thank you, and thanks to all who participated. Anyone else? Mr. Lattimore?
I had the privilege of being with the governor today and over in the town of DeWitt, and he's very serious about trying to lower our property taxes. He recognizes that our county is, the 13th worst county in the country. So he's trying to do what he can. Hopefully we can review and act, maybe get a rebate back for our taxpayers. I know our budget is a little short too, but hopefully with good management, we can get that down.
Okay, thanks. Anyone else have a report? All right. Well, Madam Administrator.
Thank you. You have the financial portion of my report in the box. I had brought to Ways and Means a new format for a budget report that had been bothering me for some while, that you had not been getting a report that, just indicated where we were as we moved through the year relative to the budget that you had passed. So that's in there. It is a work in progress, so if you have any questions about it or comments or feedback, I would be delighted to hear it. That said, The sales tax collections in February brought the cumulative total to 2014 to $2,274,097. So that's a very important number for us. The Budget Review Committee continues to meet, and we do have a couple of specific proposals. You'll hear one tonight, a resolution regarding the mortgage tax. I want to thank Steve Tobin, who helped collect a lot of the data for the new budget report. He saved me a lot of time by doing that. And I want to thank Jim Orman, Chef Jim Orman, I should say, for including me in the pancake breakfast, because it was a lot of fun, and a lot of people came down and had breakfast with us and brought a donation that went to a local food bank, and they were very generous in those donations, so it's very, very great thanks to them. So. And relative to that resolution, I thought I had sent that to Amanda. Apparently I did not, so it's not in the box. Is it? I didn't see it.
It's not in the box.
Yeah,
no. That was
so
gonna be
if you
brought
would
to the
excuse
floor.
me for a few minutes, I'll go make copies so the board has them.
Before you leave for that, is there any questions for Ms. Sinclair? I have one, and that's relating to the Budget Committee. I'm a little impatient sometimes when it comes to committees and their assignments, and
Right.
I want to see something, I want to hold something, I want to read something. Will there be a report coming? We're fast approaching April.
Right.
That's, the fourth month. And I'm just looking to see, will we see some objectives, some areas or ground that's been covered or about to be covered?
You'll see a resolution tonight for a possible source of revenue, but I think we have different objectives. Our conversation this afternoon indicated that you wanted to see kind of how much was going to be saved, and we're looking at ways to create efficiencies and generate some savings.
Exactly.
Some of them are very hard to predict, however, and so, as you yourself pointed out with the mortgage recording tax, it won't be the same every year. We can't, say that in 2015, assuming that all goes well and it passes, that it would be $463,000. But that said, we will try to quantify more for you so that you can see what those results might be.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sheila's
I'm
gonna
do
upload
that.
it. Sheila's gonna
Wanna make
upload it
sure
right
that
now.
Sheila's gonna get them.
Oh. does
She's
she
gonna
have-
upload it to the box.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very
Perfect.
much.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
With regard to my report, we have some good news. We had a meeting with CNS, our engineer representative, Bob Duclos, the other day. Bob is in the process of closing out the 911 project. At this particular moment, we're about $105,000 under the budget that we thought we would spend, which is always a good thing. We have, I've met again with Bob Brower, Warren Albrecht, started conversations once again with our partners in Onondaga County. After a meeting that we attended, several of us attended with Congressman Maffei, an idea was put forth that what if we worked as regional partners in order to expand the water system, both here and in other areas. Wayne County's very interested in doing that, Onondaga County's interested in doing that. So hopefully, these conversations will continue, and through collaboration, we'll come up with something that'll be attractive enough to bring some dollars this way and improve the water situation. Casinos, everybody's reading about them, everybody's talking about them. You will recall, we got information from Cayuga County a month or so ago, and it was voiced by this body that we wouldn't offer any support in that direction. Next month, we'll have representatives from the developers in Seneca County here at the legislative meeting to make a presentation. In the meantime, there's been some rumors, if you will, that Cayuga County was in support of this casino, that casino, and we're just advising everybody that we're sitting back, listening, gathering information. There's been no decision made. On a more local note, we continue to talk with the city of Auburn, and unfortunately, our meeting was canceled. It was canceled for a very good cause. I hope we'll see everybody tomorrow night at the Firemen's Memorial Service. However, we do want to set up another meeting. We want to try and move forward with collaboration. The agenda will be compressed, and hopefully we've got a couple of areas that we can move rapidly on and get us working together, and then move on to bigger and better projects. And that's about it for the time being.
Questions?
Any questions? Mr. Lattimore?
In regards to our joint meeting with the city, could we put on the agenda, I know the hospital was here earlier, the possibility of the city and the county looking at their health costs? You know, the governor had brought up shared services and joining together for purchasing or whatever. I think that it would help the hospital and help the city and the county to maybe look at some options with the health benefits.
Sure.
I know right now the city of Auburn's rates are lower than our rates, so they must be doing something right over there that maybe we could do.
Sure, sure will. Anyone else? Okay, moving on, Madam Clerk. You have some appointments?
Appointments and reappointments?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Didio?
I waive the reading of the appointments and reappointments. The first 1, 2, 3, 4 announced appointments and reappointments, and hold off on the College Board of Trustees.
We could do that. I would ask that we separate the Board of Health appointment for a short explanation. So if we could consider
First three?
the first three.
First three, I'll agree.
You want to make a motion on those?
Is there any discussion on the first three? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. I wanted to talk just for a second about Dr. Kosachoff, who was unanimously made the designated appointee by the Board of Health today. The Board of Health has a nominating committee. They went out, they searched the community for a member. This gentleman has an active allergy practice here, and he's highly recommended. And as I said, there was unanimous consent by the Board of Health, and I would ask that we too confirm him as a new member of that board. Mr. Petcher, would you care to move that name?
I thought we just did.
Would you care to second it? We can do work in any way you like. Is there any discussion of Dr. Kosachoff? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Mr. Didio, did you want to handle this now?
Yeah, the College Board of Trustees were in nomination. I'm going to move for nominating Dr. Richard Stankus.
Is there a second for Dr. Stankus' name?
I'll second.
Mr. Baxter. Is there any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Mr. Bennett?
I'd like to go on record that I abstained.
You are abstaining. Very good, thank you. Okay.
Communications and announcements?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
motion
Didio?
to waive the reading of the communications and the announcements.
Second.
And there's a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, with that, we'll move right into the regular monthly resolutions. Mr. Runkle.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I offer up the resolutions 1A and 1B, which authorize the county treasurer to pay our bills effective time period February 11th through March 10th, and they've all been audited and passed through Ways and Means.
Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Continue, please.
Next, we have from Ways and Means 3 resolutions, WM 1, 2, and 3, that at this point I'd like to offer as a bundle. They've been through all Ways and Means, and I'd like to offer them as a bundle for approval tonight.
You're bundling all?
Yes.
Okay. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Did you want to bring forth the additional resolution at this time?
Mr. Farrell will.
It is
Yes.
uploaded to the box.
And is it separate, or is it in this package somewhere?
Separate.
It's separate.
Okay.
It was just uploaded, so you'll have to.
Let's find it first. Give us
I go back.
3 nanoseconds to punch it in.
Is that home rule?
Yeah, it would be on.
Mr. Farrell?
Mr. Chairman, apologize for the resolution, there is a timeliness. According to Senator Seward's office, he cannot guarantee the passage of the legislation if it's requested after May 1st, which kind of brings us up to a timely nature to bring it forward this evening rather than next. It is a resolution that was discussed at Ways and Means. It's an initiative for a mortgage tax, a mortgage recording tax. It's a home rule request to amend the tax law, requesting the state home rule legislation to amend tax law in relation to the imposition of an additional mortgage recording tax of 0.25 cents for every $100 of mortgage tax. I'd like to make a motion to put it on the
Is
floor.
there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Runkle seconds. Any discussion? I have a couple of questions. Seeing how this, I guess it was discussed in Ways, I wasn't able to be there last week, is that correct? Okay. I noticed in the supporting information, there's a reference made to a possible 8% increase in property tax. And I would like to know where the empirical information came from to support that.
Go right ahead.
If I could respond, sir?
Sure.
The current budget gap, what we filled with fund balance is slightly more than $3 million. 1%.
For 14?
For 14.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
So if nothing else changed,
Right.
we would have a slightly more than $3 million gap in 2015. 1% of our current tax levy is $374,000. It's roughly that. At any rate, if you divide the gap by the 1%, that's where you come to. So it assumes no other changes.
And so this would generate an estimated how much?
486,000.
400 some. I think the number is actually 463,000, but at any rate, yeah.
463, apologize.
Mr. Foley?
Yeah, I'm also on the budget committee. I think it's important to note that approving this resolution only sends it to the state for approval so that we can add it to our budget at a later time. It doesn't automatically say that we are going to implement it. It still has to be put in and voted on when we do hear back from them.
Any other discussion? Mr. Patrick?
Yeah, I'm gonna oppose it. Basically, it's another property tax. It's kind of a welcome stranger tax. Somebody comes to town, buys a house, business, whatever, first thing we do is hit them with an extra charge. I don't think it's proper.
Mr. Whitman?
I would like to request a roll call vote.
Mr. Whitman's requested a roll call vote. Any other discussion? Mr. Bettman?
Yes, may I just ask, what is the mortgage tax for surrounding counties?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, let me see if this is.
Mortgage
this doesn't
tax
seem to be-
surrounding
The mortgage
counties.
tax for surrounding counties is, and how will this compare?
Well, this would, there's several counties who have the full amount of mortgage tax. There are 3 parts to it. There's the basic tax, which we do collect, 0.5. There's a 0.25 that we collect for Centro, in our case. Many counties have that. I don't have the data right in front of me. I should have thought to bring it. But at any rate, and then several counties have gone even beyond $1, which is what this would add up to. It would bring us to $1 by having the 0.5 plus the 2.5 for Centro, and then this 0.25 would bring us to $1. There are a number of counties that have gone beyond, and they're at $1.25. So, so we would not be the Lone Ranger here.
Mr. Farrell.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to state, those of us that have been meeting on the Finance Committee and discussing the different options we have, nobody likes a new tax, nobody likes a new fee. Suzanne mentions that $3 million. In addition to that $3 million, there's conversation, a new radio system for $1 million. Hopefully we'll get a $500,000 grant. That leaves a loophole of either bonding or coming up with an additional $500,000. There's also a radio maintenance agreement that's gonna come due in 2015 for $400,000. So a $3 million figure all of a sudden becomes 3, 5, close to 4. We all have a budget for 2014 that was issued to all of us. Those of us on the Finance Committee would welcome any other legislators' ideas as far as revenue sources or cuts in expenditures to be brought forward to us for other things to be addressed. Just, we'd be more than welcome for that information.
And that's exactly why I've asked for some type of budget committee report, because quite frankly, I'm not sure what the budget committee is doing. I'm not going to support this because I believe it's an additional tax that the community doesn't deserve. I think it's hard enough, and we must encourage people to go out and buy homes, maintain those homes. And I think it may look like a small dollar in the grand scheme of things. However, when you're out there for the first time, it is a lot of money if it's a couple $100, $250 more on top of closing. And I know that can all be rolled in and you won't miss it. But I think this is an easy way to fill a gap that we're not even sure of at this time. And if you're willing to go down this road and impose this tax on people, then it's going to be very easy to continue to come up with fees or impose taxes just to close the gap. I'm interested in seeing a budget committee report because there are efficiencies that need to be addressed that can save us money. There are avenues out there that we can work smarter. We can save money in contracts, and I don't have any idea if the committee has even looked at any of the contracts the county presently has in effect. But I do believe there's other avenues without imposing a tax, so I just can't support it at this time. Mr. Foley.
A couple things I want to say to that regard is that, one, in the budget committee, the thing that we've kind of established is to not take anything off the table. So what this does is kind of give us an option. Like I said, we don't have to approve it. It just gives us an option, an additional avenue to go. That's one. Two is, in regards to not getting a report, the meetings are open to members of the legislature as far as whoever wants to attend, and you are welcome to come. Well, it's run by Suzanne, but I'm sure she wouldn't tell you no. Of course. So anytime. We meet every Thursday at 4 o'clock.
I understand that, but I look forward to some empirical information that I can take and I can study. I've already offered many avenues in which to look for efficiencies or saving of dollars. And I'm just kind of curious as to where the committee is at this point. Mr. Lattimore.
As the governor stated today, the property taxes is stunning the growth or the economic development in the state, and people are voting with their feet. They're moving out of upstate New York. I'd like to, I mean, I voted for a tax increase last time, knowing that there was going to be some kind of future or some kind of formula in the budget that people could get their money back if we acted and kept the cap where it was. So I mean, the governor's given us some ways to work our way out of this property tax increase and get a rebate back to our citizens. I'd like to be able to table this because these options are going to be, if we find out that it's going to be $4 million short or $5 million, whatever it is, I think we're going to have to revisit these vehicles to see whether or not it might be an avenue.
Second.
Mr. Didio?
I'd like to second that move.
We have a motion to table and a second. there any discussion?
I have a
Mr.
point
Batman?
Point of information, I'm just now a little more confused than I was before. So this motion does not establish the mortgage tax, but rather is a motion to make it possible for us to consider at a future date whether or not we wish to increase the tax, and we may at that date increase or not increase it. Is that accurate now?
That's accurate.
Okay, so we are not voting to
We are
increase.
not voting to tax Cayuga County residents at this time.
We are voting to give ourselves an option for
We are
consideration.
voting to go to Albany to ask permission from the state government to do it if we need to
If we
do
wish.
it this fall.
And if we table this or defeat this today, then it's off the table because of the timeline. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That was unclear to me, thank you.
Mr. Baxter?
Yeah, I'd like to say that I'm against raising taxes for any reason. The one point on this fee or mortgage tax is it's a tax on people that have money to spend, that want to spend money to buy a house. I think that's better than raising taxes across the board for people that don't have money to spend, that are just trying to survive. So I don't believe somebody's not gonna move to Cayuga County or not buy a new house. I understand you're $250 or $300 more, but, you know, Grandma Smith up the road might have a harder time with 30, 40 bucks more on her taxes, because what we need for money, and taxes are gonna go up. I think this is a good opportunity to actually target people, I shouldn't say target, but to address people that have money to spend and are willing to spend it.
Thank you. Any other discussion about the motion to table? If not, all in favor of tabling the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Okay, so in favor,
Defeated.
Studio.
Any other discussion on the motion as presented by Mr. Farrell?
I'll call a question.
Thank you.
Question's been called, and we will have a roll call vote. Madam Clerk?
Ready? Yep. Okay, Tucker Whitman,
No.
Ben Vitale is excused. Mark Farrell,
Yes.
Paul Pickney is excused. Joseph Runkel,
Yes.
Keith Batman,
Yes.
Hans Petcher,
No.
Terrence Baxter,
Yes.
Joseph Bennett,
No.
Frank Reginelli is absent. Patrick Mahonik,
Yes.
Timothy Lattimore,
Yes.
Michael Didio,
No.
Ryan Foley,
Yes.
Michael Chapman,
No.
Defeated.
defeated.
That motion has been defeated. Mr. Runkle, does your committee have any other resolutions?
Sure, that completes.
Mr. Farrell, do you have anything for a follow-up?
No, I'll be looking forward to the other ideas the legislators have.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to Health and Human. Mr. Mahunik.
Mr. Chairman, Health and Human Services have 5 resolutions. They've all been through committee, but I would like to offer HH 1, 3, 4, and 5 as a bundle, and then come back and get HH 2.
Okay, HH 1, 2, 4, and 5 is offered. Mr. Bennett.
I'd like to separate HH 3 also, please.
Separated H2, did he?
That is separated, sir. If I heard correctly.
No.
No, 2 was separate.
2 was separate.
I'm sorry.
2, yeah.
Okay, so
Did you
one-
say,
The original bundle was 1, 3, 4, and 5.
Okay, I got
Mr.
it.
Bennett would like 3 out as well.
it must be this pen.
He wants 2 also, right?
So
So it'll be 1,
Okay.
2, 3, 4, and 5?
1, 4, and
4, and
5 at
5.
this time is
Oh, 1,
bundled.
4,
We'll
and
get
5.
this right here. One more time. Okay, any discussion on 1, 4, and 5? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Now, let's go back.
HH 2 is a resolution urging the state of New York to establish a residency requirement in order to receive welfare benefits.
Any discussion on HH 2? Mr. Batman?
Yeah, a resolution sets forth a series of whereases, and therefore be it resolved. And the idea of those is the whereases set a condition, facts, expert opinion, and or in other words, a problem or a condition, and the therefore be it resolved proposes a solution or an action. In this case, the whereases say that there's been an influx of people from out of state applying for public assistance in Cayuga County, and this is costing the taxpayers a significant amount of money. Now, if we look at some basic what these words mean, an influx is defined by the Merriam-Webster dictionary as the arrival of a large number of people, and lists related words as deluge, flood, torrent, rush, stampede. And significant is defined as large enough to be noticed or have an effect, very important. Similar words in my Microsoft program are substantial, weighty, major, and momentous. In other words, the condition upon which this resolution is founded states that there is a deluge of people moving to Cayuga County from out of state that is costing residents of this county a substantial amount of money. Well, I don't know if you think that's true, but I really doubt it. But more importantly, I submit that we don't know this. And I'm not suggesting that we should have our staff look into how many people there are involved or how much money is involved. But I do think that due diligence requires that we look at the foundation upon which to make a resolution. It is an official action of this body, after all. I think that this is based just simply on faulty assumptions. And I think we at least ought to be discussing those before we move forward. And therefore, I would move to table this resolution until it can be considered in a little more detail. So it's a motion to table.
Mr. Batman has made a motion. Mr. Foley has second to table this resolution. Is there any discussion on the tabling?
Yeah, I do.
Mr. Foley?
Yeah, I was able to talk with Elaine Daly, who's our department head for Health and Human Services. I asked her, I said, did anyone consult with you about this information? And no one consulted with her to get any kind of statistics or to prove that anything in this is actually true. And I don't know why we would be making resolutions based on opinion. Hopefully they'd be based on facts or figures, something like that. We ask all of our department heads to do that. We ask our county administrator to do that. I would hope that we would be able to do that as well.
Mr. Whitman?
If we tabled all of our resolutions over disagreement of the meaning of a word, we would never get anything accomplished. I don't have a problem with the way it's worded. Maybe somebody would like to offer an amendment with a different word so we can pass it.
Well, presently, we have a motion on the floor to table. Is there any other discussion with regard to that? Mr. Batman?
Well, I would simply suggest that if the solution is to go back and come up with better wording, then the motion to table would be appropriate and should vote for it. I would take exception, though. Words are important. I mean, these are official action. This isn't conversation. These are official action of this body. And I think we do need to be careful that we use words that mean what we mean to say, what we want to say. And that's the whole point of my motion to table.
Any other discussion? If not, all those in favor of tabling this motion?
Aye.
Okay.
Would you raise your hands, please?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4,
Batman, Runkle,
5.
Foley, who else?
And I will.
Lattimore,
All opposed?
Chapman. That'll be all the other ones, right? I have in favor,
6.
Didio, Chapman, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I have 6 opposed.
Right. Defeated. We're back to the motion, or to the resolution. HH2. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Lattimore?
Well, how many's out here?
I'd like to see the state of New York be equal to our surrounding states in benefit packages. I'd like to see the county of Cayuga be equal with the rest of the counties that are in Cayuga County. We shouldn't be more or less than what other states or other people are doing. So, I mean, the balance should be there, and I'm all in favor of helping. The thing I'm against is this cradle-to-grave situation where we're responsible all the time for everybody and everything that goes on in this state. So it would be nice to see a benefit package that's equal to Pennsylvania or some of our other surrounding states.
Mr. Foley?
Can I, just have the clerk read back the.
Yeah, you've got 6 and 6.
Yeah.
So you
Right.
got
I thought there's only 11 of us here.
Right.
No,
All right?
All of you guys.
We're 6.
and you.
Do we have a tie vote?
You have a tie vote.
Oh, my goodness. Fred flipped the coin.
Rock, paper, scissors?
Way to vote.
Yes, we will have to back up and re-vote in a weighted fashion. Madam Clerk, whenever you're ready.
This would be in favor of Mr. Batman to table. Okay, Tucker Whitman,
No.
Ben Vitale is excused. Mark Farrell,
No.
Paul Pickney is excused. Joseph Runkel,
Yes.
Keith Batman,
Yes.
Hans Petcher,
No.
Terrence Baxter,
No.
Joseph Bennett,
No.
Frank Reginelli is absent. Patrick Mahonik,
No.
Timothy Lattimore,
Yes.
Yes.
Michael Didio. Yes. Ryan Foley,
Yes.
Michael Chapman.
Yes.
Defeated.
Defeated.
Now it's defeated.
Now it's official. Official defeated. Okay. Back to the motion.
Are you good with the vote for HH2, or?
Yeah, well, that's defeated. Do we have to do it again for in favor of it? Back to voting on it. Okay.
I'm sorry, motion to table.
Motion to table.
Right. All those in favor of HH2, would you please raise your hand?
Can we have a roll call vote, please?
We have a roll call request? Sure.
Nobody's in it?
HH2 is presented. Okay, Tucker Whitman,
Yes.
Ben Vitale is excused. Mark Farrell,
Yes.
Paul Pickney is excused. Joseph Runkel,
Yes.
Keith Batman,
No.
Hans Petcher,
Yes.
Terrence Baxter,
Yes.
Joseph Bennett,
Yes.
Frank Reginelli is absent. Patrick Mahonik,
Yes.
Timothy Lattimore,
Yes.
Michael Didio,
Yes.
Ryan Foley,
No.
Michael Chapman.
Yes.
Passed.
Mr. Mahonik?
And HH4 is authorizing the director, HH3 is authorizing the Director of Health and Human Services to fill a Human Services Examiner position in the Public Assistance Unit of Human Services due to a resignation.
Is there any discussion on HH3? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Bennett is opposed. Okay. Government operations. Mr.
Government
Didio.
operation. And we have 2 resolutions, GO1, GO2. I offer them as a bundle, unless anyone would like to separate them.
Any discussion on GO1 or 2? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Planning. Who's filling in for Mr. Pinker?
Well, I did it Ways and Means, I guess I would do that here.
Who's
the vice chair?
Huh?
Mr. Farrell?
Planning has 6 resolutions. PL 6 is going to be a 2/3. It's going to be a roll call vote. So I'd like to bundle PL 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Very good. Any discussion on PL 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Bennett?
I'd like PL 4 separated, please.
Okay, we have a request to separate number 4, so 1, 2, 3, and 5. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, number 4. Mr. Bennett? Do you have a question on number 4?
Has this, how long has this position been open? Have we run the 30 or 60-day gauntlet on it?
Yes.
We're talking about the position in planning, correct?
Yes.
Yes, it has been. It's been vacant actually for, I want to say, 3 months. I was going to say 3, but 4 months, so.
Okay, because it's my understanding, normally under the, my opinion or thoughts are, usually once it's brought to committee, then we hold it for the 30 to 60, so we understand there's an opening. And I will be voting against it.
Okay, any other discussion on number 4? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Mr. Bennett, Mr. Petcher. Okay, PL 6. And I have 2 versions, so is the version in the box the one?
Yes.
I'll have to find it again.
Is it separate?
The change on the version of the box would be the first whereas clause. Previously said that, let me make sure I have the right one. Previously said that in the budget was $4,000. The budget for 2014 amount, the budgeted amount is $7,500. So the correction this morning was to change that first whereas clause.
Okay, Mr. Didio.
Did he say that should be, that 7,500 should be 4?
No, in
No.
the first whereas clause, it should be 7,500. It was 4, because that's the amount that's in the budget in contingency.
Anybody have any questions or discussion?
I have a,
Mr. Batman?
I have a question. I intend to vote for this because I do understand the situation. But moving forward, I said this in committee, and I wanted to say it here too. I think we have two fairs, and I think moving forward, we need to have one fair. They both really have the same goals, and I know there's some problems, there's some logistics problems and so on. But there's, if we start working, or the people involved start working now, those should and can be resolved prior to next year. And so I would encourage people to do so that next year we have one allocation, one fair, everyone working together.
That would be fair.
It would be fair.
Mr. Petcher?
I like the fact that Mr. Batman has just said, it's time for the 2 groups to get together and somehow they resolve their differences and get on with it. I'll vote for it this time around, but for next year's budget, if they can't get together and have hands together, I will not vote for an allocation to either one of the groups.
I concur.
Fred, let me clarify this because I can't find the other version.
Sure.
But the most latest and greatest amendment is to reduce the budget from 75 to 4,000. Is that correct?
That's the resolution that came out of committee, yes.
Okay, so that's what we're looking at right now as PL 6.
Yes.
Okay, then I'd like to offer an amendment to restore the amount of dollars to the Cayuga County Youth Fair to the sum of $7,500, just as we had discussed in previous planning meetings and had agreed to.
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Lattimore seconds. Is there any discussion?
That's what I was going to do, Mr. Chairman.
Well, sorry.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Mr. Batman?
Well, I'm curious, where did what was I would like to hear the reason, the rationale for the reduction. Is this was the thinking that we could save $3,000 without impacting the program, or?
I don't know, Mr. Runkle, it occurred at ways I wasn't able to be present. Mr. Farrell?
I brought it forward. I brought it forward with the thinking that last year we reduced the libraries and we reduced the merry-go-round. By reducing the libraries, we're not against people reading books. By reducing the merry-go-round, we're not against theater. We're not against promoting agriculture. We're not against youth fairs. But I think we've recognized that financially, we may or may not be able to sustain $15,000 to 2 fairs. As Hans stated, I think the two entities need to come together. This fair presently receives $3,500 from New York State. So by reducing it $3,500, they're still going to receive $7,500 of taxpayers' money. The Big Six is going to receive $7,500 of Big Six money. But I think they both need to stand on notice that as we move forward, it quite possibly could be like we did with the libraries, that there will be a systematic reduction year to year. And I'm not saying these entities need to be profitable, but I am saying that they should be able to, if they're going to exist separately, they're going to have to become self-sustaining. And I think self-sustaining would be a more practical goal if the two entities were together than if they were separate. And possibly by us allocating these funds year after year, we're allowing this division to take place with their financial backing. So that was the reasoning, was to bring them down to an equal playing field of $7,500 of taxpayers' money to each entity.
I don't think anybody's going to disagree about trying to get these two entities together. I do have a question about your remark, $3,500 from the state. It's my understanding, and I'll defer to the folks here representing the board, that money comes from ag and markets, and that's to cover monies that have been spent on premiums and ribbons and things of that nature. So that's not like, here's $3,500, go buy $3,500 worth of ribbons and premiums that are paid out. That money is, they put in for it. And yes, it comes from the state. So it's not a bonus, you know?
I don't see it as a bonus, but I do see it as it's $7,500 of taxpayers' money is what I'm looking at, Mr. Chairman. And the other thing, when I look at the financials on it, you know, we give the $7,500, and last year on their balance sheet, over $4,000 went to pay down a debt that they're carrying.
Absolutely.
And I understand. And I don't feel, I look at the Big Six and I look at after 2 years of existence, they've got a balance of $4,000. They're working towards a self-sustaining fair that isn't going to have to rely on the county. And when I look at this, I don't see the same results taking place year after year of our investment.
Anyone else? Okay.
That $3,500 is a partial refund for the premiums that we pay out. All counties that are recognized by ag and markets have that same option. They send in a formula, the sheet showing how many premiums they've paid out, and they get a portion of that back. That's what that $3,500 represents. As far as the debt is concerned, I think we proved over the last 2 years of showing you everything we've spent. We are paying the debt outside of. Our youth division costs us way more than $7,500 that you're giving us. That $7,500 just helps us to do better and more activities for our youth. When the 2 years that we did not get any funding from Cayuga County, we still paid down that debt. We were over $30,000 in debt in 2008 due to an unfortunate decision by a couple of people to bring in a huge country act for $50,000 that didn't pay off. We're down now to less than $9,000. So we have not used any county money to pay down that debt. We have all kinds of fundraising activities and so on to take care of that.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? If not, we'll vote on the amendment to restore the monies to $7,500. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
I have a
opposed?
point of order, if whatever. Because that amendment increases the amount of the draw from contingency, does that have to be a 2/3 vote?
No, because the amendment is changing the amount, it's not drawing the money out of
I
contingency
see.
yet.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Good question.
Sure.
Any opposed?
Opposed.
Oh,
3 opposed? Carried. So we have to wait for this to be rewritten, or can we vote now on it?
2/3 vote.
So relating to PL6, we will have a roll call vote. to take the $7,500 from contingency and move it to the Cayuga County Fair account. Madam Clerk?
Tucker Whitman,
Yes.
Ben Vitale is excused, Mark Farrell,
No.
Paul Pickney is excused, Joseph Runkel,
Yes.
Keith Batman,
Yes.
Hans Petcher,
Yes.
Terrence Baxter,
Yes.
Joseph Bennett,
Yes.
Frank Reginelli is absent, Patrick Mahonik,
Yes.
Timothy Lattimore,
Yes.
Michael Didio,
No.
Ryan Foley,
Yes.
Michael Chapman.
Yes.
Passed.
Carried, thank you. And Mr. Whitman?
Public Works has 2 resolutions. I'd like to bundle them both unless somebody would like to single them out and pick them apart.
Okay. Is there any discussion on PW 1 or 2? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Mr. Farrell, Judicial, Public Safety.
Judicial and Public Safety has 3. You have JP2, JP4, and JP5. I'd like to put them together. If nobody has an objection.
Anyone wish anything separated? If not, JP2, 4, and 5, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Is there any other regular business? Mr. Whitman?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion that we bring back JP1, authorizing district attorney to fill the part-time ADA vacancy in the district attorney's office.
And Mr. Didio is a
And
second.
this is a position that was budgeted for. There's been a vacancy, needs to be filled. It was budgeted for. I don't see any need to take it out now.
Any discussion on JP1? Mr. Lattimore?
We're gonna revisit this, and the DA is gonna give us reports on this particular.
Mr. Bodelman has promised he will make reports. Mr. Batman?
The issue here is an important one in terms of the position itself. And anytime there's an opening, it's an opportunity to reevaluate the importance of it. It's too late to reevaluate once a position is established and someone is hired, because then we're looking at a layoff. And I don't want to lay anyone off. I don't know if anyone else does or not, but I don't personally want to lay people off, number one. And number two, I don't want the cost of unemployment. And so it's to approve a position simply because it's in the budget and then we'll look at it later is not a rational approach, because if we look at it later and decide it's not for next year's budget, then we're looking at removing a person, removing a position, and you better do it now if that's the will of the body, when it's painless to an individual in that position.
Very good point, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else? Mr. Baxter?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I think this position is important to fill, and we can revisit it at budget time. The money was put in there. I believe that things need watching. This position will help keep the money going where it's supposed to go, not to misuse or fraud. And perhaps Mr. Boogman can hire somebody and tell them that it may be temporary. We wouldn't be putting any undue stress on somebody making some money for the next 6, 8 months. That's it.
Okay, anyone else? If not, all in favor of JP1?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Opposed?
No. Okay. Carol, you want a roll call
5.
vote?
I got 5 opposed.
Do you want a roll call vote?
Sure, let's go to a roll call vote, and we'll be absolutely sure.
Tucker Whitman,
Yes.
Ben Vitale is excused, Mark Farrell,
No.
Paul Pickney is excused, Joseph Runkel,
Yes.
Keith Batman,
No.
Hans Petcher,
No.
Terrence Baxter,
Yes.
Joseph Bennett,
No.
Frank Reginelli is absent, Patrick Mahonik,
No.
Timothy Lattimore,
Yes.
Michael Didio,
Yes.
Marion Foley,
Yes.
Michael Chapman.
Yes.
Defeated.
defeated.
It's defeated. Mr.
It's
Whitman?
not a two-thirds vote. Simple majority, correct?
Yes.
That's correct.
It is under simple majority.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I have 7 yeses.
Takes a.
It's a weighted majority.
It is a weighted majority?
It's always a weighted majority.
Always.
It's already budgeted for.
Doesn't matter. It's not a supermajority.
Okay, it's been defeated. Final tabulation, Sheila? Correct? Right?
Yep.
Okay. Is there any other regular business to be brought before the body? If not, I would ask for a motion to go into executive session. Mr. Didio?
Motion to go into executive session.
This is for the purpose of discussion of employment of a particular person. I would ask the sheriff to remain, if you would.
Anybody second it?
Somebody,
I never hear him.
who's gonna vote?
We'll begin in about